everyone. So our presentation today is going to be on the UN Sustainable Development Goals activity. And we created this activity. I won't be going over it today. We'll be using the abbreviation UN SDG a lot, and that just means the same thing. So just so everyone knows, I am Mia. I am an elementary ed and math major.
And I'm Alana, and I'm also an elementary ed and math major.
So just quickly, today we'll be addressing our UN SDG that we chose, which is gender equality. And then for the activity that we'll be going over, it's mainly meant for fourth graders. And then the name of our activity is Bridging the Gender Gap with Money.
All right, and like we just said, we are planning this activity to be in a fourth grade classroom. So the standard that our activity is based on is 4.nbt.b.4, which is use place value understanding and properties of operations to perform multi-digit arithmetic on whole numbers less than or equal to 1 million, and fluently add and subtract multi-digit whole numbers using the standard algorithm.
So the very first thing that we kind of want to dive into is what our students will need to know to be able to do this activity. So students will have had practice with adding and subtracting multi-digit whole numbers. Students will also have to have been able to interpret data from a graph and fill in data comparisons in a table before. And then the last thing that they should know before doing this activity is they should have some exposure to real life problems.
And so why is this important for our students to know? This is important for them to know about how there is a gap in pay between men and women. They'll be able to apply the information that they learned from this activity later on in their real lives while searching for jobs.
So, like I said, the name of our activity is Bridging the Gender Gap with Money. And our example is just specifically for a soccer team. And I know that that's not everyone's dream job, but this is just an example for our activity.
So to begin with our instructions, this is how we would introduce the assignment to the class. So here in fourth grade, we are constantly reminding each other of how to be respectful and treat everyone equally. But sometimes out in the real world, this does not always happen. For example, a man and a woman can work the same job, but for some reason, they're not always paid the same.
So just to dive into some of the beginning steps that we'll have our students do is our first question for them is we're going to ask the students, do you think that this is fair? What Alana was just explaining. And then we want them to explain their reasoning. And then we have this little chart and we want them to take a look at the data from the USA men's national team and the USA women's national team and what they're paid as far as games go, whether they win or they lose, and if they get bonuses at all. So it's either by each exhibition game or yearly pay. So that's kind of what the students will be looking into.
And then for the third question, we would break the students up into groups and they're going to fill out a table, just like the one in the picture right there, where they compare and contrast the wages of men and women. So they're going to fill out the table for the men's wages, fill out the column for the women's wages, for the games, the bonuses, the yearly wins and yearly losses. And then they will find the difference in wages in dollars, and then they'll be able to compare them, and that kind of brings us to the next questions.
Yes, so our question for the students who would be participating we would have them look at the data table in the previous slide and kind of look at what the differences are and what they notice and which gender gets paid more. And for question 5, we want them to come up with a kind of a strategy to see, what changes could be made and how wages could be equal and things like that. So.
And then how this activity will guide our future instruction. The first way is that by reviewing the students' tables that they fill out, we'll be able to see their ability to add or subtract multi-digit whole numbers. The table will show how students can find the difference in wages between men and women and compare them.
And then the second way that we were looking at is that we'll be able to gather both formal and informal formative data by, watching the students participate in this activity in their small groups and listening to their responses and their questions, and also by collecting the data table that their groups will fill out.
And then the third way is that by gathering all of this assessment data, we'll be able to assess students' understanding of their work and be able to determine which students get the understanding and which students may need more instruction with this topic.
Yes. So that's pretty much it. We hope that you enjoyed our presentation, and thank you.
Thank you.